Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we're making Frito pie. Now, Frito pie is a southwestern thing that's often served at football games in actual little bags of Fritos. From my understanding, it's basically a southwestern chili-centric taco nacho thing in a bag. We're going to make more of a casserole version, but you're essentially making chili and then you're putting corn chips in it, essentially. So we're going to start with a chili. Now, in order to do this, I googled best chili recipe and I got a bunch of hits. The top hit was this one from spendwithpennies.com. Shout out to them, I guess, but I am going to change it up quite a bit because looking right away, they only use 2.5 tablespoons of chili powder. Now, as far as I can tell, most chilies use at least 4 tablespoons of chili powder. That's 1/4 a cup of chili powder. The last time we made a serious chili, not the hot dog chili episode, mind you, a serious chili, it used 1.5 pounds of ground beef and it used 6 tablespoons of chili powder. So I'm like, right away, where's the flavor? Spendwithpennies.com. So I've got this pot, I've put it over medium-high heat, put a little oil in there to get it started. Wonk it around a little bit, right? Then I'm just going to drop in my beef once it hits the temperature. While that's going, we're going to prep our chili powders. Now, you can do all kinds of stuff with this. You can grind your own peppers. Babish would have you do that over at Binging with Babish. I haven't done that yet, but eventually we are going to do his chili recipe just because it looks complicated, and why not? We're not grinding our own peppers today. Today is a windy, snowy day. And it's cold. I don't want to do anything. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of just bog standard chili powder. And 3 tablespoons bog standard chili powder. Then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of guajillo chili powder. Just to give us a little variety. That's all I had in the pre-ground. I do have a lot of ancho chilies just kicking around. But, again, low effort day. Okay, so this is starting to look like it's ready to take the meat. We're just going to chuck her in there. Break up your beef. The recipe says to add the chili powder right away. I'm not going to do that, though. Because I feel like we should let the beef brown first. We are gonna prep a jalapeno, an onion, and some green pepper. I think I'm gonna use 2 jalapenos. So let's do that. Okay, let's go ahead and dice our onion with the magic of editing. With that done, we're ready to mix our beef up a little bit more. Next up, we got our jalapenos. Now, if you watch this show a lot, you've heard this song before, but the seeds grow out of the white stuff. The white stuff is where the heat comes from. Those are the ribs, right? So, the seeds get some of the heat, but if you really want to remove the heat from the jalapeno and just get the jalapeno flavor, you gotta take the rib out. So, you're gonna rib these, then you're gonna thinly dice them, and then we're gonna throw them in with the onion and the beef. The beef is looking mostly done, so I'm going to drain off some of it. Usually you use a leaner cut for this. If you make a huge mess like that, just clean it up. Now we're going to add our onions and our jalapeno. I'm also going to crush 5 cloves of garlic and throw that in there too. The recipe says 4, but I like garlic. And these are kind of big cloves of garlic, so my instinct says 6, but these are big cloves, so I don't need to go 6, I don't think. Obviously, seasoning is a matter of preference. Babish said to feel the chili in his chili video. I don't feel like I'm yet at the place with chili where I can feel the chili, but that's okay. I'm just gonna put my garlic in there. Mix things around so that your vegetables can get some heat too. Now I'm going to throw in my chili powder. Now, if you don't have the Guajillo chili powder, that's fine. There's a bunch of different ways you could do this. The Babish version has like 4 chilies. I would just use regular chili powder if I didn't have anything else on hand. I'm going to let that go and keep mixing it occasionally. So now we're going to start adding a bunch of stuff in sequence. First, I've got a teaspoon of cumin. And I'm feeling frisky today, so I'm going with a teaspoon of cocoa powder and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. I think that's light brown sugar, but it doesn't really matter. If anything, dark brown sugar would also add more flavor. The only difference there is molasses, how much molasses is in there. Now I'm making a well. After I mix that around a little bit, I got beef broth. I'm pouring it right in the middle. Just in case there's some fond in there, I can get up. I love me some fond. Now, you can use 1.5 cups to 2 cups of beef broth. Usually at this point you'd pour in 8 to 12 ounces of beer. I couldn't find gluten-free beer. If you watch the show a lot, you know I have to be gluten-free currently. So instead, we're going to throw in some red wine, and that will take the place of the beer. That is Merlot. It's starting to get a good color already. 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. You could also use whole tomatoes that are peeled. Can of kidney beans. And they're liquid. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. If you don't use tomato paste often, don't buy a lot. Get the smallest can you can. Now, I've been going back and forth on this last one. I only have 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I thought that they would be really good on top of the Frito pie. So, I wasn't going to add them to the chili, but I think I am. So I am. Live life on the edge. Make your own decisions. Do what you want to do. If you have an extra can kicking around, though, save them for the end. Throw them on the Frito pie. And now it looks like chili. See how it looks like chili? You're almost there. The only thing left to add is this green pepper, which I've cut into sticks, and now I'm just going to chop it into dice. We're just going to drop that in. I'm going to increase the heat and bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to put it down to a simmer. Now, the recipe says to simmer it for about an hour. I think I'm going to go 2 hours. I'm also going to add a big pinch of salt and several twists of freshly ground black pepper. I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'll be right back. A long simmer later, and we're ready to start our Frito pie. I added 1 additional tablespoon of chili powder and a little bit more of that cocoa powder just because, again, I liked the way that it was working. I think I still like beer better than wine in chili, but this is pretty rockin'. It's been a couple hours and I'm hungry, so I'm going to use the power of magic to prep these scallions. Okay. The scallions are prepped. And we're ready to grate our cheese. In this case, I got some habanero cheddar. That'll give us a little kick. Okay, we've preheated our oven to 375 and we're ready to enter the final stages of this. Now, did you need to make your own chili? No, you didn't. You could just use 2 cans of chili. We've got our casserole dish out and we're putting a layer of our chili on the bottom. You will have leftover chili probably, and that's okay. You could also just serve this now in a bowl with Fritos on top, and it would still be Frito pie. Frito pie is very forgiving and simple in its execution. Okay, so we did a layer of chili. We did a layer of Fritos. Now we're going to do a layer of cheese. This is that habanero cheddar that I was talking about earlier. Here's the trick. Don't over cheese. I know you're gonna say there's no such thing as over cheesing. And there isn't, but you do want to have enough left to do another layer when it comes out of the oven. Another layer of chili on top of that. Okay, we're gonna stick this in for about 20 minutes. I'll see you then. Time makes fools of us all, so we pull out our casserole. Then we add another layer of cheese. What I tell you gotta be careful with that cheese. This is some leftover smoked cheddar. It's not what I wanted for this, but I used too much cheese on that first layer of cheese when I was telling you to be careful with the cheese. Cheese. So after that layer of cheese, you're gonna do another layer of Fritos. And now we're gonna stick this back in for 5 minutes. Now we're gonna let everybody coalesce for 5 minutes. And then we're gonna plate it. And it's gonna be glorious. I recommend topping it with sour cream and some green onions. And I don't usually eat on this show, so jerkins, let me know how I did right here. Okay, I appreciate you watching the video. Like, subscribe, click that little bell, and I'll see you next time. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you want to see next. Bye.